Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Talks. Leadership Talks is a podcast for emerging leaders who are on a path of transformation and are looking for ideas from leaders who've gone through the journey. On the 8th of March, we celebrated International Women's Day. So, this month is dedicated to women leaders from different industries and walks of life to share their stories and inspire you to stand tall, stand strong, break glass ceilings, and climb glass cliffs. I'm your host, Kirandeep Sandhu, and I'm here hosting this episode, Leaders with Reins, along with Devesh Mohan.
Hey, thank you, Kiran, and so glad to be here back on our leadership talk shows. And in today's episode, we have a privilege of having our esteemed guest, Rudrika Singh. She is an international level rider, India's only FEI certified Olympics coach for all three Olympic equestrian disciplines, owner of Adagio Riding Stables. Rudrika is an equine therapist and works with children and adults under autism spectrum. She is into show jumping and dressage. She enjoys endurance racing and in which she excels. India Today has featured Rudrika as one of the India's leading young sportswomen, and she is popularly known as the Horse Lady. So, welcome Rudrika in the show.
Thank you
Hi,
so much, Devesh. Thank you, Kiran. I'm
thank you
so
so
privileged to
much
be
for
here.
being here with us. And this is such a
Yeah.
privilege to be having the Indian team coach, Olympic coach with us. This is absolutely a privilege to be having you with us. Thank you so much for taking this
Yeah,
opportunity, taking this
absolutely.
to be our guest
Uh,
here
ab-
today.
No, absolutely, Kiran.
Thank you
When I
so
was
much.
just going through your introduction, Rudrika, there were like goosebumps which was coming in to me that okay, this is like an awesome introduction, which probably is so inspiring, not only for me but all the people who would be seeing and watching this show. So thank you so much for being here. So and as saw that you are a horse lady, that made me to think that you are known like an horse lady. So what really uh, went through in your childhood where this love of horses came to you, how it really originated, what when it actually started and how it all happened? Maybe that would be a great thing to know for all of us. So Rudrika, over to you.
Oh, so that's a story in itself, actually. I come from a family of riders. I'm a
Okay.
complete Rajput kid. So you can imagine my father riding, my grandfather riding, my great grandfather riding. So, but to be very honest, my whole motivation comes completely from my father. My mom did ride on and off, but as a young 5-year-old, just watching your dad get onto this ginormous horse and fly over fences like it didn't mean anything, I knew this is what I had to do in life, and
Oh,
I mean, it's been a dream come true, and touch wood, I'm one of those few lucky ones who gets to, turn her passion into profession, which is not very easily achievable, especially these days for young adults, especially.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, it's all thanks to my father and the entire Indian Army for actually backing me up and making sure I did not, get distracted at all. You know how the Fauji bachas are. So we're very
No, that
focused and we know exactly where we have to go and exactly how we have to do it because we got a hell lot of screaming also. So one mistake, the entire army was after your case and telling you, that beta, fix it. This is not your direction. So,
good,
so
good,
yeah,
good. No,
but
that's really great because getting that focus and passion right at that tender age of 5 or 6 years is so great, because a lot of times, even like me, being after doing my MBA, I was like, okay, what I have to do? Let me just pick up the first job which is there. But having that focus, clear direction at such a tender age is so great. And as you said, passion and profession, making just
Oh,
integrating both
yes.
of them
Oh,
together.
definitely,
Absolutely.
definitely. And with my parents and my entire family backing me with this, uh, throughout me growing up, my education institutions backing me with this, I knew, I mean, I was meant to be here. There was no wavering. There was no, plan B. This was the only plan. I had to do it.
Great.
Excellent. Rudrika, that this is really inspiring. I mean, they already say that being a part of the army itself is a bigger family, and not that you have your
Oh,
parents
yes.
there supporting you, but you also have this entire family pushing you in one solo direction towards that bigger mission, which was your passion of horse riding. And obviously, I've read about your father and he being one of India's top riders, and how he was probably the person, as you said, has inspired you to be on, to lead your dreams and be passionate, as well as make your passion your profession, what you just said.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
beautifully put out. But I'm just going to now say that, okay, you had your father, you had the Indian army, you had everybody there, but in spite of that, it's still believed that a stereotypical view of horse riding, it's a very masculine thing, and you decided to carve your future in it. And in spite of knowing that, yes, I had everything, I'm sure there were some challenges, obstacles in that path towards converting your passion into your profession. Would you be able to share some of those obstacles that you had to, which you turned into opportunities or learnings for yourself, Rutrika?
Sure. So, this starts right from the age of 6, basically. Started
Mhm.
riding at 5, started competing at 6, and while I was growing up, out of all the competitors, and when I say all the competitors, I mean in one event of the entire show, there'd be around 150 to 190 entries, and there'd be just 2 girls.
Right.
Okay. Everybody else was a guy. And
Mm.
at some point, I had some friends. They would say, "Oh, I don't think it'll be possible for you because you're not as strong enough. I'm a guy. I can handle a horse better." So, and then of course, I would beat them and, get the gold in front of them. That would be a different story altogether. But yes, but now there are so many women equestrians in India, and we're showing everybody, internationally, there are definitely more females that I have noticed.
Mhm.
But in India, that is definitely coming up. At my riding school, I have an 80% attendance of girls.
Wow.
We have, I think, 10 boys. So, and I mean, it is the best. The boys do come under pressure because the girls are beating the boys. They're like, "Oh, you
Oh,
think we're
wow.
weaker?
Very
We'll
good.
show you." So, so we do teach them a few lessons left, right, and center. But when it came to starting Adagio, I clearly remember I was standing outside my college with my degree in hand, and my father calls because he was posted somewhere else. My father calls, he says, "What do you want to do?" I said, "There's no choice. I want to ride horses. I want to start up a place and I want to coach girls. I want girls to know there's a world like this that exists." So he said, "Okay,
Wow.
fine. If are you sure? Because it is going to be difficult. It is very male dominated." At that time, also, I think there were like just I think there were 2 ladies who I knew were also coaching,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
I mean, it's funny how I've grown up calling them aunties, and now my students are competing against their students, and I'm still calling the coaches aunties. But again, I would say I've been blessed with the most support. I go to my competition, I tell them that I am going through this tough time with, my, for example, a feed supplier or my saddler, because they would think I'm a woman, so they could take me for a ride and say, "Oh, we'll do it. You relax." And you know how it is when you say relax to a woman.
Oh my
You don't say that.
God. Exactly.
So
I must say to our viewers, you are getting a lot of lessons about how to deal with women, along with about learning from this amazing coach who is leading the Indian team out there. Go ahead, Rudrika.
Yeah.
So you don't tell a woman to relax, and second, you'd never tell an equestrian to relax. Okay? so,
Very true.
so yeah,
Super.
but yes, but we're making a mark there, and now my father's really proud of me. Recently, he got a call, and he was asked, "Oh, are you Rudrika's father?" Instead of,
Wow.
"Oh, are you Rudrika? Are you Colonel PP Singh's daughter?"
Yeah.
And my father felt so proud. He called me. He said, "Oh, now I'm known as your father."
Oh
So
my
I am.
God.
I'm sure
It's a
I'm.
great
I'm
sense
doing
of
something
achievement for
right. I
any
hope
father.
that. Oh, I mean, goosebumps again.
Very
But
true.
my grandparents are also called these days. They're like, "Oh, so how's Rudrika?" They're like, "Please ask us how we are first."
That could be a good idea. So now you've said it from two point of views. That if one, when you were as a young child, you were the only girl, probably, or one or two girls that you were facing. I mean, who you faced opposed to all the men who were actually riders, and as you became one of the one or two coaches, also that was so. It was always the number game which became an obstacle in your case. Is that what you're saying? That it is still very.
Now, no, I would not say that anymore. Now we have definitely come up in numbers, and I see the numbers increasing every season. There are as compared to our competitions last season, we had more women than men, and
Okay.
it was a moment of pride. It was like all girls standing together, talking to each other while the men were competing, and we said, "Wait, we'll show you how it's done."
I love it.
Wow. Very good.
I love
So
it.
So,
good.
no,
So
but
okay.
equestrian, sorry,
No.
No, no, please go
yeah.
ahead, Ritik.
So equestrian is also a sport where men and I think it's the only sport where men and women compete against each other.
No.
There is
Wow.
no, yeah. So there is no women's show jumping or men's show jumping. We are competing against each other at the same level, dealing with the same amount of pressure, dealing with the same mood differences, mood changes of horses. So, I really like the sportsmanship spirit we have here. uh, Men, women, I mean, we all get off our horses and we discuss that, and we do give each other tips and say, "Oh, where do you think I went wrong? How can I get better?" So there is no, you're a girl, you could have done better kind of a story. There's more like you are a rider and you work better and you work harder. And that, me being a woman saying that to a man or vice versa, it's taken in the same spirit. There are no ego clashes. It's beautiful. Our main concern is priority to horses. Till the horse is happy, we are happy.
So
So
that actually
it's so
brings
much.
me in. I'm going to just
Okay.
jump
Yeah.
in over here.
Sure.
I mean, we talk about International Women's Day, we talk about break the bias, but now that you've actually talked about this one field at equestrians, you are all
Yeah.
on equal footing. All you
Yep.
all are male is. There's no gender bias over here, because if you're a good rider, you have a place on the field and you are riding a horse. I mean, that is what a
Exactly.
beautiful, that is
And
actually very well weaved
yeah.
into that whole conversation, that it doesn't matter, everybody is equal. You know how to
Yeah.
do your game, you are in it. So there is no gender
And
Exactly.
part about
yeah,
it.
and just to add to that point, Kiran, that's how we typically see in the corporate, right? Whether it is a man or a woman, it's something we have to just make sure that how we can take our companies to the next level, right? The
Yeah.
way Rudrika was talking about the horses, that how we need to just use or be on those horses to make sure that they are similar to us, whether it is male or female. It's so true in the corporate sector that irrespective of what gender we are, we just need to make sure that how we can contribute to the success of the organization. So that's
And I want to
a
just
great.
add on to that point over here, Devesh, that although it's all about International Women's Day, no bias, but nonetheless, this company Leadership Card actually has four partners, and we have one woman, that is me, along with three other men. And I would say that whole point about equality and being on equal footing, and if you're good at your game, it doesn't actually matter. You bring the best.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's
Very
very
true.
well explained through
Yes.
this story of horses and how you've just explained that. I loved it. Divesh, over to
Yes.
you.
So yeah. One of the question which was intriguing me, Rudrika, that and I heard that you talked about that over a period of time as you grew, you have shown that how strong enough you have been in terms of to be on those winning podiums against the men's who were there or the male
Yes.
kids who were there. So and that probably led you to in this endurance riding, and me too also trying to be an endurance athlete while I do my half marathons or do long distance cycling. That's something which I have been pursuing from last couple of years. It intrigued me to ask from you, Rudrika, that what is that mindset with which you carry, that how you can complete those rides which you go through for from the endurance point of view, as you have been going through these 80 to 160-kilometer rides over the mountains and terrains. So would be just intrigued to know that what that mindset with which you just go for those difficult difficult
Right.
rides.
So, funny story about my endurance race. I was out of all the riders, we were two girls, everyone else a boy, everyone serving in the armed forces, and I was the only girl to cross the finish line.
Oh wow.
Why? Because at some point, I heard this random person, not even a rider, saying, "Oh, that's a girl. Don't worry, ये तो अभी थक के बाहर आ जाएगी." I mean, I'm getting on my horse at 5 a.m. and at 4:45 I hear this. Of
That's it.
course, I'm going to cross that finish line.
Isn't it equivalent to being relaxed?
You have to be relaxed. I mean,
Oh,
see, when you're dealing with long distances, you have to understand it's not just me, my health, my heart rate. In endurance, it's also about my horse's heart rate. So at some point, we as riders, we get off our horses and walk them just to get their heart rates down and calm and composed. It's all about the horse. It is all about the horse eventually, and the only point is that when you cross the medical checkpoint, you have to be mounted onto the horse because that is when the horse's heart rate is checked. Uh,
Mhm.
so what you do in the middle, we as riders, we do not sit down on the horse's back because it increases the weight on the back, and then the heart rate increases. So it is endurance riding, but it is also an endurance race. So whoever's heart rate comes down fastest, their time gets clocked, right?
Oh,
Um, but again, being the only girl crossing the finish line, and I had again, I love the army, okay? I have been supported by the army the whole time. I had buckets of ice water thrown on me so I wouldn't get tired at the
wow.
checkpoints. So they were technically to cool the horse down, but I would just bend down and get the water some on my face also. But I
Great.
mean, you have to remain calm. The whole idea about riding for so long, or even riding at all, is your communication with your horse. So I, as a coach, actually make sure that my students are talking to their horses at any time in any competition or even basic flat work at home. We are always in conversation with the horse because the horse listens, the horse understands, and then we move together as a team. In the field of riding, you work together as a team. It's you and your equine friend, and you move together. And the discipline we have to follow, the rules and regulations we have to follow, our fitness, the horse's fitness, everything is correlated. It takes like years and years and years of practice just to be able to cross that one finish line and stand there and say and just pat your horse and say, I hope you're okay. You know,
Wow.
that is the most important thing. If
Yeah.
goosebumps again. I mean, every time I talk about horses, I don't know. I get so emotional and I get so serious about it. I would love people to just come meet horses and just be with them and just know what it's all about. You know, it's not only a jockey and racing and going full speed, but
And I have to
It's just
butt
a
in over
different
here
thing.
and just say to all our viewers that Rudrika has a beautiful stable called the Adagio Riding Stables right outside in the outskirts of Delhi. And I will post more details about the stable in this link too, so that if you want to know more about it, send your children, go spend a night over, have these beautiful, and experience that entire experience of being with horses and learning from horses. Because at Rudrika, you do talk about how you actually go through that process with people about
Yes.
animal management, and also about this whole process, how, because people can learn so much from horses. So what do you teach at your stables? Would you like to share a little bit about that?
Um, okay. So on apart from the competition process,
Yeah.
the first thing you do when you come to the horses is say hi. That first communication is so important. You know, I teach kids, I teach adults, I teach kids starting from the age of 3. Now, all my horses at the stables are adopted. We follow a strict policy of not buying horses. So they are either ex-race horses or they are ex mares from stud farms. We have tiny ponies for tiny kids, and they were all these ponies were bought off the roadside. They were workhorses. They lived in such a bad situation. I know I'm going back into the past, but it just leads to where you need to come as a person when you're meeting them. When I had these ponies, they did not know they could eat grass right off the ground. I had to sit on the grass, pluck the grass with my hands, and show them that it was possible, you know? So that's the trust they have in me. And that is the trust I want my horses and my ponies to have when another human walks in, that discipline. What I tell my riders is when you're entering the stables, leave your office, leave your school, leave your stress out there. Come here, start fresh. We make sure at the stables, the first horsemanship activity that we do after the first interaction of saying hello is that you have to brush and clean your horse. That is the biggest bonding process there is, because while you're brushing your horse, there are so many emotions that come out of you, because your horse is just standing there and just breathing on your shoulder. There's just so much emotion that comes out of you. It just calms you down. And that is also the time the horse is figuring you out. The horse knows whether the human standing next to me is stressed, is going through a bad time, is mad, like me, or just needs a little bit of discipline. I do have teacher horses who I give to riders who are not very sure about how to go about stuff. So then the horse takes care of them. They help them
Okay.
start with the process. Then I have the few naughty ones, which my naughty students ride because they like to have some enthu in life. But yeah, it's all about discipline. It's just about making that first move and just going and standing face to face with this giant nostril and saying hello. you
Yeah.
know
No, and that's just in the background. I'm just thinking about that how similar is this whole
I
leadership
know.
lessons which are there. Typically, when you say about building that trust, so that's something
Absolutely.
which all start with that how you can emotionally connect with your employees, because once you are able to emotionally connect with your employees, then only that trust happens, right? And that instances, small instances which you're talking about, plucking the grass from and letting them know that okay, this is the way it would happen. It's all about that how you can really invest your time in leadership training, or training your staff in terms of to be productive, right? So some of those
yeah.
things probably are so critical. So maybe Kiran, you want to take the next
No,
question?
I was so enjoying this whole thing. Just even from, even whether we take it from leadership or as humans, there's so many lessons that we can learn from horses. And I mean, humans who become, what do I mean by leadership, or what do we, when we talk about leadership, it's all about leading yourself. And if you're able to lead yourself, you can lead organizations and you can lead countries. That's how I look at leadership. And when you're talking about it, that basic example of, be kind to the horse and say hello. As a leader, do we say, are we able to communicate with people and say hello and create that first bond, first step of trust? And then how important it is to be disciplined, to be able to actually, and not only that, walking the talk or showing the way to them, to saying it's possible. What you just said, that grass was lifted and you gave it to the horse. Just like that, a leader or a person who wants to lead others has to first show them that it's possible to do it. Now, why don't you try it? I mean, it was so well put, Rudrika. A beautiful lesson. We've actually covered a question which was supposed to be covered about leadership, but you brought it in from the animal management into the leadership lessons. And I would definitely see that people who are on this leadership journey need to go and bond with horses. And who better than with Rudrika Singh at her Adagio Riding Stables, where she'll probably teach you that how you can be a better, more effective leader just by bonding with an animal. What a beautiful lesson you shared, Rudrika.
So probably, in fact, one of the questions which is again just there in my mind, that what was that feeling which was going through with you, Rudrika, when you actually were there in the Tokyo Olympics representing India? I think that's something which probably is one of the questions I just want to hear from you, how you were feeling, what were those emotions through which...
woman coach from India in that category.
Yes. So what were those emotions with which you were really going through, being there on the podium and representing the country? So over to you, Rudrika.
Funny thing, I had actually applied as a volunteer for the Tokyo Olympics because I was still going through a lot of courses back home. I did get accepted as a volunteer. So very excited again, I was under the impression like a lot of Indians would have applied and everything. Cut to, sadly, the pandemic happened, and the entire Olympics was postponed by a year. Within that moment, I got to know that I was the only Indian and the only woman from India going as a volunteer to Tokyo. So, I was super happy. I mean, the fact that, you receive an email saying, we might not be able to call everybody, but if you're receiving this email, that means your work is needed. I said, okay, I'm coming, please. I'll be there, no problem. I mean, no problem there. So once I reached the grounds, we were tested again. They want to see how much knowledge we have, because how people can overshoot the reality on their CVs and on their applications. So at some point, the head of the jury realized I was more qualified than being a volunteer. So the whole time, in all the equestrian events that were happening, I had gone for show jumping, dressage, and cross country, all three disciplines. I was lucky enough to be noticed by that jury member and the person who was testing us. And I was sitting in the jury box with the top judges from the entire world. And at some points, I said, I want to learn something else, the curious Indian mind. So then I was working with the official timekeepers with them, and I was working with the official scorers. So all the scores in equestrian that you kept seeing on the board was me.
Wow.
So I was sitting.
This is
hopefully.
Absolutely. I mean, because when you reach that level, there is no gender discrimination. You are there representing yourself and your country on the national stage. So it doesn't matter who you are. If you're good at what you do, you are more than welcome on any stage. And I'm going to ask from here, take you to that last question.
No, so I was just saying that, Rudrika, you need to have few more stables all across the country. There are so many kids who would love to be.
I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
But I am one person. I can't be at multiple places. But
Yeah,
that's why I say, please come over. We are always open. We don't shut down for anything. Just come over. We are home.
yeah,
Just come home. We'll make sure you don't want to leave.
absolutely. Devesh, would
Superb.
you like to
Yeah.
ask the last question?
Yeah, so I think the last question, Rudrika, would be that what would be that one message you want to give to our viewers? And I think that also is so critical and important because many times we see that a lot of women still question themselves that whether they
Yeah,
are credible to do or they can take control of their own life, right? And that's what you have been like the torch bearer who have taken that control of your life, and not only your life but your horses also, right? So that's something. What is that message which you
So that's
want
why the
to
episode is called the leader with reins. So what is your message to the women? How can they take control over the reins of their life? What would be your one message to that, Ritika?
my the only message is you have those reins. Just open that arm and turn in the direction you want to go into. If
Yes.
you can dream it, you can do it. There is nobody stopping you. It's all here. This is what I tell my students also. It's all here. It's just how you control your mind. You want to do it, you put your foot down, you say, I am going to do this. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but at least you tried. You will never have that regret that, oh, I wish I could have. You know,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
you just go
Thank
for
And
it, man. What the hell?
Absolutely. Thank you
very
so
true,
much,
very true.
Rudrika. This was absolutely a privilege having you on this show. I would say my personal takeaways, I mean, other than the fact that I feel that horses are not horses, they're actually like a second being, like a soulmate that you can learn so much from. I mean, this was an
Definitely.
enlightening session for me. So I would say the three lessons that I've learned today from you. Number one is that obviously make your passion your profession, because if you love it, you will be able to do it. Number two, what you can learn from your horses is, or people, is it's all about the people, or it's always about the horses.
Connect.
If you as a leader, whether you're leading your horses or leading your people of organizations, if you think about them, you will be able to lead and conquer the world. That was number
Yep.
two. And number three would be communication is key. Whether it's dealing with horses or with your people, you need to be able to communicate clearly what needs to be done. So that was very well put by you. And
Yeah.
I think and other than the fact that it's absolutely a privilege having you, I want to thank all our viewers who have joined us
And
today.
yeah.
And with that, I would say,
And one thing which I just want to add, and in the last, Rudika, you said that if you are dreaming, then just go for it. And that's
absolutely.
what basically it is, that whether you see a small dream or a big dream, dream is a dream. So why to just see those small dreams, see those big dreams and go for it. And as you
Of
said,
course.
never say quit, just keep trying. I think
Never,
that's if
never.
just so that's a great lesson for me. So yeah, over to you, Kiran, while we
All
wrap
right.
this up.
Thank you so much, Rudrika, for joining us today. Leadership Talks will be back next week with another leader to share their journey. Do follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, as well as for more information, Leadership Card Facebook page. Till then, this is Kiran, Rudrika Singh, and Devesh signing off. Thank you.
Bye.
See you.